So I'm excited about the demo today. Let's get right to that, shall we? Because I'm going to stand here for a sec, Joe, and then you can put me on close-up. I decided I wanted to make some napkins. And I am so proud of this napkin. You might think, what's the big deal? And I'm going to show you what the big deal is. So let's come in a little closer, Joe. So this is what the big deal is turning from the front to the back, a very neat miter and a very neat top stitch. And if you think, yeah, what's the big deal? I'm going to show you what the big deal is. First of all, to get a perfect miter, Joe, can I hold this up closer to the camera so people can see that? Is that good? Yeah. Can people see that that's really like perfect? I'm not trying to brag or anything. What I'm trying to do is show you guys how I did this. So first of all, I hit a half a yard and I cut 2 napkins out of it. Isn't this pretty fabric? And I ended up cutting 17-inch squares. You can cut whatever you want to cut. You can make them a lot larger. You can make them a lot smaller. I cut 17 because after I washed, which I did pre-wash, I figure a napkin is something that's going to get washed a lot. So I pre-washed the fabric and then I cut them being 18 inches wide for half a yard. It shrunk just the tiniest bit, so I decided to just square them up at 17 and I got 2 out of a half a yard. All right, so now I have a perfect square. That's not so difficult to do. It's the mitering part. So I'm going to show you some tricks to that. First of all, I am folding this crossways and getting it, everything about this, a miter is going to be precise, right? In order to get that exactly right, we're going to have some precision going on here. Okay. Watch what I'm doing. I'm picking up the Stripology Squared Mini Tool. Many of you already own this. It's good for a lot of things, including cutting strips. I bet you never thought it was going to be so handy for mitering this corner. You'll notice that there is a line here that'll give you a perfect center on this tool. And in that center line, not only are there crosses this way, but there's dotted lines going this way too. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my tool right on top of my perfectly folded, and I am going to put the center right at the center and then line it all up. So what I have lined up is right here and right here and right to the center. Now I'm going to take my rotary cutter and I'm going to cut on the 2. And I'll show you what that does. First of all, because I had it folded in half, I just cut 2 corners at once. I cut this piece off. It's about 1.25 inches. You're telling me if you don't have a Stripology Squared Mini, I have 2 things to say to that. First of all, get one. We demo with this all the time because it does so many different things. Put it on your list. Put it on your Christmas list. It is one of the handiest tools out there. Second of all, you don't have one, but you want to do this right away. This is about 1.25 inches, so you could figure out how to get this. But what I need to tell you is you need to make this perfect. Okay, what I'm going to do is fold it the other way and do the other corner now too. What I want to do, and I'm going to take the piece that I've just cut right now, is I want to turn under 1/2 inch all the way around and press that. Now, you could eyeball this, but I'm telling you right now, if you eyeball this, your miter is not going to come out right in your corner. You really need to have it exact. It doesn't have to be 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch is what I use. It could be 1/4, it could be something more, but whatever it is, it has to be the same all the way around. Notice what I've got here? This is called the hot ruler from Clover. It's like a thick piece of some kind of stabilizer maybe, with measurements printed right on it, which is super handy. And the nice thing is you can press right on this. So I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to fold over my edge. That's not kind of right, so I'll adjust it a little bit. And you get so you can do this really quickly. And now I'm going to press my 1/2 inch. I'll pull that out, slide it down, and do the rest of it. I like the size of this hot ruler.
Deb Murray also agrees that she loves the hot ruler.
Deb, I am so with you on that, because how else would I get this exactly a ½ inch? And if you think it doesn't matter, it's going to matter when we go to miter those corners. If that's not exact, you're going to have the problem of your miters not being exactly right and making those perfect corners that I just showed you. So I'm going to do this on all 4 sides, and actually I've got one here where I've done that, because I'm going to take and fold on the diagonal, put my ends together to create pretty much the smallest seam in the world, because we're going to sew 1/4 inch off the end. Now you might think, okay, that's easy. I'm just going to fold that on the diagonal, take that to my sewing machine and sew 1/4 inch. Again, I'm going to have you pause here, because, let me grab a little pointer. Let me use my seam ripper. Notice here, this is not perfect. That is going to throw off your entire miter. It's got to be perfect to get that to line up on the inside. I don't often use the P word, but I am using it right now to tell you how important it is. Okay, at this point now I've got it lined up. I could put a pin in there, or I could do it even without a pin. I could go to my sewing machine and do it. But you already know what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you the easy way to do it is to grab a little bit of the basting glue and put just 2 little dots. That's all I need in here. 1, 2, and those are actually a little big maybe. You guys probably can't see them anyway. So I have just basted that end together. I can go around and do every corner the same way. So I can do this one. I can forget about that now. It's not going to come apart. It's going to go right to my sewing machine like that. Don't even need to think about it. So here's some tips on sewing this together. What I like to do is start a couple stitches in, take a stitch forward, back up off the end, come all the way off the end this way, and then back up. So my start and my stops are in the middle here. So when I trim that, I don't have to worry about little random pieces of thread sticking out anywhere. And I know I've got a nice point on the inside. So now I'm going to jump over to one where I've already done that. We can look at this. Little seams, little tiny seams that I've sewn here. Teeny tiny little seams. All right, all 4 of them are sewn on this napkin, and all we need to do is flip. That's it. If you want to use a little poker, go right ahead. I didn't even find I needed to. And that inside seam is going to go to one side.
No way.
Yes way. Okay. All right, I've impressed Jen. This is good. I've impressed Jen.
And Kathy Boyansky.
Kathy, isn't that cool? I told you this was a good demo today. Look at how neat these are, you guys. Because we pressed a ½ inch with our hot ruler, it's going to fold right on that ½ inch. Your math is done really well for you. Okay, let's get rid of this and just come in here and press this. Look how nice and neat this is. I'm not done yet showing you some tips on here. There's a few more I want to show you. Now, Jen, you probably know that what I will do right now, because I want this to be really nice, is I'm going to use the spray on this. Look how nice and flat that lies. Okay, that was not an accident to get this nice and flat. All of the things that I showed you were important to make that happen. So let's give this a little spray, especially on the corners, to make that nice for us. Used our easy press, and that's going to give us, make it super crisp. But look at that. Oh my gosh,
you want to make napkins.
You want to go home and make napkins? Well, we're going to talk about making napkins because good timing, right?
Right.
Okay, so I've only pressed one side. You guys get it. We could go around and do all 4. They're all going to look really nice. They're all going to line up just perfect. We could press them all. Now we're going to take it to our sewing machine and just top stitch along the edge. Now, yes, you can just go top stitch along the edge. The same way that you can just turn it over a ½ inch without thinking about it, without doing it neatly. But why not? You've come so far to get everything lined up perfect. Let's take just a little dot of glue. You don't even need to use that much. And stick it underneath here. And like I'm putting a dot like every 3 or 4 inches. Yep, just along the way in the corner. That's it. Press this down. Now I don't need to worry about this going anywhere, right? that's in place. I can take that right to my sewing machine. It's not moving. I'm going to show you another tip now, and that's with the top stitching. So I'm going to top stitch from the back here, and this is the foot that I like to use. There are different feet that you can use. I'm going to use this open toe foot, and the reason I'm going to use that is because I can put this right next to that fold, and it's going to go right along there, and then I can move my needle over. I put my needle at a 0.5. You may want to put it at a different place, but it's going to drop right into the edge here. The needle will drop right along the edge, and this will keep you nice and straight as you sew the whole time. It just works so well for me. I use that to put bindings on my pillow, on my bench pillow I put the binding on. I'm looking for the one that's done here. Let's take a look at this one that's already been stitched. Okay, look how nice and neat that is. I don't know, can you guys see that? Bring it up maybe a little bit better so you can see that right along that edge how nice and neat that is. Nice and straight on both sides, because napkins really are both sides. People will see both sides. You want it to be nice and neat with those perfect corners. And really, even though it took me a little while to show you all of this, it doesn't take very long to make napkins.